Anime. What is anime? I'm sure you probably heard of it over the years. It's become kinda popular, just a little popular. It's not like there's millions of people around the world that actively indulge in this medium and find an insurmountable amount of joy in it. Okay, I'll stop stalling and cut to the chase. Anime is amazing. You can talk all you want about how it's some Chinese kids cartoon or whatever. Like, seriously, how can you call this a kids cartoon? This person is literally being eaten alive. Come on. Yeah, you can't tell me that's a kids cartoon. Just believe me, anime is amazing. A lot of anime I've watched are gourmet level shit. Something Gordon Ramsay himself would call up and say some good food. I remember those days where you would get made fun of for liking anime, because I was one of those people. I didn't really like anime back then. Once 8th grade hit, however, god damn, I got a taste of it and I just couldn't go back. Anime legit changed my life, and millions of others would agree with me right here. Nowadays, you can't really go anywhere on the internet without like seeing someone praising it, making artworks of it, talking about it, making TikToks, memes, YouTube videos, whatever there is. You can't really escape anime, and that's how it should be. Some people dedicate their entire livelihoods to discussing anime. It's kind of crazy how much of a phenomenon it has become. But why is anime so good? Why can't I stop watching anime? Why has it literally breached oceans and language barriers to millions of fans like myself all across the world? Why has anime got me all hyped up to talk about it and do a JoJo pose? Rather than talking about it, let me just show you the amazingness of anime. Now that was pure epicness. Now you may ask, what is it that makes anime so good? Is it the characters, the stories, the music? If you said yes to any of those, you're correct. Nice. But you've probably seen the title of the video already, and you know where I'm headed. The initial thing that got me really into anime was the animation. Animation in a lot of anime is phenomenal, and is unlike anything I've seen in any other medium. Fairy Tail was my first actual exposure to like real anime, unless you count Pokemon, but like, come on, Pokemon doesn't count. Everyone's seen Pokemon. Where was I? Yeah, Fairy Tail. The main reason that I actually stayed and watched like all 300 episodes is the characters, the music. Just take a listen to this masterpiece. And the animation. The story was kinda mid in retrospect, but those three things really kept me going. At the time, Fairy Tail was unlike anything I'd experienced before. I would go on to watch more anime and experience even more amazing animation. I talked all this stuff about animation, but I haven't explained what animation is. So what is animation? Animation is anything that's made to move. Animation is movement in itself. If there's no movement in the subject, foreground, or background, it's not animation. At that point, you're just looking at a JPEG. When that JPEG creates the illusion of movement on a screen, however, then you have an animation. Look at these three illustrations I made. These are just soulless JPEGs. No matter how much I try to make them look dynamic, they're just soulless JPEGs. Now look at it animated as I create different variations of the image and put them one after another to create a GIF. Look at it change. It's epic. Look at this moving horse. Look at this cat move. Look at this evil business conglomerate that tries to take over the world by ruining legendary franchises like Star Wars all for the sake of money. But hey, at least we got Baby Yoda. Just look at this cute little face. Heck, the character you see on screen right now is animated through keyframes on Premiere Pro. Look at him move, he's moving all over the place. The more dynamic the movement within animation, the better the animation will be. Anything that moves, whether it's pixels on a screen or pictures of real-life objects, as long as they create the illusion of movement, they're animated. And that's a perfect segue into the next part of the video, the different forms of animation.
Full Metal Alchemist. Full Metal Alchemist.
According to this lovely article on the internet, there are 5 main animation mediums used in professional industries in this day and age. There are probably other mediums, but these are like the big 3 of the animation industry, except it's the big 5. Starting off, we have vector-based animation. Instead of pixels, vector animations use, well, vectors. Vectors are essentially mathematical formulas that creates a shape that's infinitely scalable. That circle you see on screen right now is a vector. I can bring it up to whatever size I want and it'll have that clean look. Image resolution isn't a problem for vectors, and you can get this cool graphic design look in vector animation. The main downside to vectors is that you can't really change them and add details super easily. Next up, we have 3D animation. In 3D animation, we have 3D models and sets that are rigged and animated frame by frame. The pros to 3D animation is that you only have to create your characters and sets one time and you can easily move them around to be animated. Well, not easily, but you know what I mean. This is probably a major reason why a lot of animated movies, especially in the West, primarily use 3D animation. Studios like Disney, Pixar, Illumination, and DreamWorks use a lot of 3D animation. The cons to 3D animation, though, is that you can't easily capture the style and feeling frame-by-frame animation creates, but more on that later. Next up, we have stop motion animation. This animation technique is pretty niche for the sole reason that it's a ton of work. Actually, all animation are a ton of work, but stop motion animation is on a whole nother level. When stop motion is done well though, you have amazing results. In stop motion, you are essentially animating real-life objects as you photograph their movements through time. This is a very tedious process, but it can look amazing like this. Now onto motion graphics. What are motion graphics? Motion graphics is like if graphic design and animation had a baby. It is essentially any graphics that are created and animated to move across a digital screen. Motion graphics can use all aspects of animation in order to create an animated graphic. You can use 3D or 2D, frame by frame, stop motion, whatever you like. It's all your imagination. Motion graphics are used in all types of things, for example, business promotion, videos, VR, social media, apps, games, UI design, logo design, and much, much more. And finally, we're onto the big boy, traditional frame-by-frame animation. This is an animation type that started it all. This is when you're drawing individual frames, frame by frame, in order to create an illusion of movement. This animation of the bus I showed you before is technically frame-by-frame animation because I created 18 frames for it, and I put them in order like this to create this. Most anime and cartoons you see today use frame-by-frame animation. A typical episode of anime has 24 minutes of runtime. The standard in the animation industry is 24 frames a second. That's like 24 drawings for 1 second of animation, and you need to do that for 20 minutes excluding the intros and outros. That's a lot of drawing. This is why I respect animators in Japan, or animators in general. They're all masochists, but they're willing to go through so much pain and suffering in order to create amazing shit like this. It's kinda crazy. Granted, most of the animation in the 20 minutes of anime is not crazy animation like this, but 24 drawings a second for 20 minutes is still kinda crazy. Animators in Japan really aren't paid enough for the amazing shit that they produce. At this point, if you still aren't convinced about the greatness of animation, I'm gonna attempt to do an animation myself and personally show you how insane it is. Yeah, that's right, it's getting personal now.
2,000 years later. Hey, Vsauce! Massive legend here.
Hey, look, it's me, in real life. Look at those hands move. Anyway, I'm gonna follow this video and make an animation of a bouncing ball. like literally the simplest things you can animate, just to showcase how difficult animation can be. You might even learn something along the way, probably. Alright, anyways, I'ma start by opening Adobe Animate. Also, if you didn't know, Adobe Animate allows me to, well, animate. It's not rocket science. Alright, I'm gonna create a new file. Set that frame rate to 24 frames per second. Now I'm gonna make my layers and name them. I'm not gonna start with the sketch by drawing the path the ball is gonna follow. Alright, now I'm gonna draw the keyframes of the animation. Keyframes are essentially the most important frames of the animation. These frames usually dictate, like, the main actions that's taking place in the animation. So yeah, I'm drawing the keyframes in red. After the keyframes, I'm gonna draw the in-betweens. The in-betweens, you guessed it, are in between the keyframes. These are frames that build up to the keyframes and make the animation smooth. So the in-betweens are being added in green. After the in-betweens, I'm gonna add more in-betweens, but this time I'm emphasizing the squish and stretch of the ball. This makes the ball seem that much more organic while bouncing. So as you can see, these are being added in pink. Now my sketch layer is done. I'm adding frames to the actual animation layers, so I can actually draw the animation now. For this animation, I'm going to be animating in twos, which basically means I'm drawing the ball in every other frame. This gives the animation a certain look that you can't get while animated on every frame. So right now I'm actually animating by drawing the ball over the sketch layer. I just want to emphasize the fact that this simple 3-second animation took about half an hour for me to create. Imagine doing this process for actual illustrations over a 20-minute period. Animation in anime, or animation in general, is just kind of insane. Now look at this ball bounce. I'm gonna even add a bouncing sound effect to really capture the bounciness. The bouncing ball is cool. It could be better, but hey, it's a bouncing ball. Yeah. So I've talked a bit about anime. I've talked a bit about animation. Let's combine the two and look at the animation industry in Japan. Thank you these videos for sponsoring this part of the video. Let's go. There are 3 parts to anime production. There's pre-production, there's production, and there's post-production. In pre-production, the animation team will usually study the source material they are going to animate, and will try to compress said source material into whatever format they're animating in, whether that be 12 episode, 24 episode, or movie format. No animating is done during pre-production, as it's just setting the stage for the production stage. Now onto the production stage. This is like the meat and potatoes of anime production. The production stage can be broken down into many parts. First, there are storyboard artists who create the storyboards for each episode or a section of the anime. Then there are keyframers that create the keyframes for each episode or section of the anime. The storyboards and keyframes get reviewed by the directors and they're revised. After keyframing is done, there are in-betweeners that animate all the frames in between the keyframes to make said animation smooth. They also create colored lines that represent highlights and shadows for the color team. Speaking of the color team, they have the job of filling the colors for each frame of animation. After coloring is done, the animation is given to the photographer so they can composite each frame and add special effects to the animation. There are also background artists and 3D animators working on the sidelines to create the backgrounds and 3D models for the anime. After production is done, we move on to post-production, where all the animated scenes for an episode or movie are cut up and edited together to fit whatever format they need. This is also when the anime goes under review to make sure there isn't any harmful visual effects to the audience. The entire process of pre-production, production, and post-production can take multiple years to do. Hopefully, I made it somewhat easy for you to understand and appreciate the amount of work that goes into this amazing craft. So what are you supposed to take away from all of this? I guess I'm trying to say that animation is beautiful. Animation is communication. The career I'm pursuing right now, graphic design, is also a form of communication. The major reason I didn't pursue animation as a career is because I don't think I'm talented enough to create the amazing illustration and animation I see in the media today. I might look into motion graphics though, that seems pretty interesting. Animation is a ton of work and I respect the people that make it, but it's just not for me. Just look at this animation I attempted 2 years ago. This was supposed to be a birthday present for my cousin. Looks pretty mediocre, right? This literally took 2 days of work only for 4 to 5 seconds of content. It's kind kind of insane. Look at this other animation I did for the intro to my Totally Not Dead YouTube channel. Subscribe, link in the description below. This animation took a few hours and it's kind of trash, to be honest. In any case, I was still trying to communicate something to the viewer. I was trying to give a message to the viewer, and animation is an amazing medium to do that through. In animation, you get the freedom to express ideas in the visual and audio mediums. You can really leave an impact on someone through animation. It's a hell of a lot of work, but you can really leave an impact, just like it did on me. Anime had really left a lasting impact on me despite being literal oceans and language barriers away. I don't think I'm ever going to stop watching it. This is why I love animation and anime. Moral of the story, watch Demon Slayer. It's kind of bomb.